So we did an episode on one of your videos.
Viral.
Videos. How many views is it now?
I think it's over 200,000.
Jesus Christ.
I know about over 50 people have done videos.
On your video?
Yeah,
video.
basically.
Wow.
And they would just come up. I'd be in the hair salon and they would come up and it was very surreal.
So talk about what's that video about? Yeah.
So I thought I would talk about the fact that I did not have black friends until I was 26.
Right.
Obviously, it was a bit of a hook, you know,
Okay.
I maybe embellished things slightly. But yeah, maybe that's when I had slightly deeper friendships start to build. But I think a lot of people have some thoughts and opinions. I've got to stress I'm 37. Some people did think I was like 30, and I'm like, no, it wasn't.
I mean, you look like a baby girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't 4 years ago. Also, I was in education until I was 24, and then I worked in, you know, fashion for about a year and a half before like concentrating on influencing full time.
Okay.
I think once you come out of education and then you've worked a bit, you can sort of, when you're in it, sometimes you don't see things, but I maybe had some time to, you know, work on myself, personal development, learn a bit more. And I feel like that was probably running in conjunction with other things that were going on, like Black Lives Matter and certain podcasts. I'm trying to remember when I was 26.
No, we'll get into it. We will pull everything out of your mind.
9 years ago.
Okay, but so I guess we responded to the clip.
Yeah.
And did you watch it?
Yes.
What did we say? Did we piss you off?
I mean, you were getting the stories. You were confusing the mixed race girl with the fully
Well,
African
to be
girl.
fair, I was,
like,
and this is my fault because I was transcribing very quickly, trying to get notes and notes. And we also knew that you followed us, so we knew that you watched. We're like, Kristabel, come on, because you're probably going to correct us anyway.
Yeah.
So we're always open to the conversation. What I think between our response to it, hold on,
what
did we offend you?
I mean, I was almost the enemy of progress, which
Yes.
was a bit, I didn't think I did anything.
No, yeah.
But, you know, we've got, like, Kemi Badenoch. She's
I
right there.
mean,
we've got Candace Owens.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not.
There's
No.
scales to
There's
it.
scales to it. Yeah.
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 No, you definitely weren't going to be an enemy anyway. But it was, I think, because there was so much criticism on the post as well. When I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, cool. I kind of understand. My sister had a similar journey. But then reading other people taking offense, I was like, that's quite interesting, because why are people offended by this? That was the whole exploration. Like, is she teetering on being offensive, or is this understandable? And there were so many people that were like, this is my life as well. So we knew, actually, I haven't seen this conversation take place on a pod. I was like, this is an interesting one. We personally, like the four of us, didn't have that journey. So it was quite interesting to just chat about it and see. So we didn't view you as an enemy at all.
No, it was an exploration of the topic and the motion of it, because it's easy. I always say that I could have been that way inclined because of the way I went to school, but something kept me in the black depths of society. But I never went. But it was my schools were all white in Wimbledon. All my schools. So, and it's very significant to me how much impact it had on me. However, no matter which school, there was always a black person somewhere that I gravitated towards, even if I had white friends and stuff like that. So what were some of the biggest misinterpretations of what you were talking about?
Yeah.
So where do you start? I mean, I think, you know, I can see that maybe 3% of people watch the whole video. So obviously, I talk about multiple occasions where, you know, I tried to be friends with black or mixed race women and it just didn't work out.
What was that? What happened?
So yeah, the primary school situation is still a bit complicated to talk about, and I really need to ask my parents about, you know, to fill some bits in, because I know how I felt, but I can't remember like absolutely everything, and I know they might have gone in to speak to teachers and
really
whatnot.
Okay.
Wait, sorry, just not to labour on it, and if you feel uncomfortable, stop. But it's more like the feeling, and because I think we remember feelings more than natural scenarios and situations. So what was the feeling, and were you like the only black child in the village in the primary school?
No, I was, it's hard to remember,
Sure.
but I feel like I had like a different best friend like every year, and
I
then
hear
like
it.
move away, which was quite sad. So I had one best friend who moved to the other side of the borough, and then we were best friends, but there was also, she was black from St. Lucia, and then there was another black girl, maybe another two. can't quite remember where everyone was from.
Yeah.
But there was kind of like a ringleader, and she was quite manipulative.
Okay.
Right.
So it was a very confusing time. They might, tease me, or they might say something about her hair being picky, but then she'd have the braids, so they would perceive her differently.
Right.
And there were, several situations that were just really, I don't know.
I hear that.
Yeah, that
It
makes
was a
sense.
confusing situation.
Was like going to Coventry a tactic that they would use, like as in not talking to? So it's like one week everybody may be friends. The next week somebody is on the outside. They're not going to talk to that girl, and then it kind of switches
You
around.
talk about that as well.
Yeah. It's such a common thing with girls. Like it's really. It needs to be studied why girls gravitate to this form of bullying, but it seems to be something that girls generally do, and they move it around. So you don't know if you're going to be the one that is ostracized this week. So then you kind of become quite complicit in it. But usually it is dominant by one person who probably experiences that in their home. And so they know how to maneuver people so that you never call out the one that is like, this week we're not going to talk to that person. Like it's very common though.
I never experienced that. It was more group versus group. I think dynamics more than anything. But I need to think about that.
Yeah.
What was home life like?
Yeah, so my mum had me when she was 23. My parents are still together, so she was a young mum.
Yeah.
She liked, what did she say? She liked Dynasty, so that's why I'm called Kristabel with a K.
Oh my God, that's
She was
amazing.
she was very good at naming us. She wanted to call my brother Gabriel, but my dad was like, I don't want no catwalk names.
Okay, wow.
And then my brother is like an art director now, and he goes by Lewis Gabriel, which is funny. He kind of got rid of the Plummer.
Yeah.
And then Marie Claire she's Gen Z. So we have quite big gaps between us. I remember being probably around the age of 5 and asking my parents, like, can I have a sibling? And they're
Okay,
like,
so you're the
sure.
oldest.
And so then my brother came along, and then 7 years later my sister came along. So my mum would have a baby like every 6 years. So she's had babies in the 80s, 90s and noughties.
Oh, I love that. I'd love to talk to your mum.
Character. So again, it was just, it was normal. I would go to my grandparents' house after school. They're part of the Windrush generation.
Yeah.
So they lived quite close to my primary school. And I think, sometimes friends would think that my nan was my mum. I think she worked. So my parents worked. So
It's a very typical black, like the grandparents do step in a lot in our kind of communities and stuff like that.
And then they went back to Jamaica, which they didn't explain to me. It was all very, I remember going to the airport. I'm like, yeah, great, can we have Burger King? My mom's like, no. And then my grandparents were like, see ya, we're going to Jamaica. And I was just like, what? Just crying. So again, like, no one tells you anything.
No, sometimes parents just think.
They just do the thing,
Yeah, just do
innit?
it.
And the kids you learn as you're going along. So cousins, because that was another
Cousins.
big question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, was you brought up with cousins around?
Yes, but obviously, so on my dad's side, no one had children. So my dad there's Uncle Eddie, Uncle Howie, Uncle Paul, and Auntie Laura. None of them have had children for varying reasons.
Oh, wow.
And then on my
That's
mum's
interesting.
side, that's kind of complicated. But if you can imagine, in most families, there's, separation, divorce, cancer, fertility issues. So I did have some cousins that I only really got in touch with 10 years ago.
Okay.
One of my cousins moved to Leeds, so we would sometimes see him at my nan's house, but I never even had his phone number. So if he was there at Easter, that was a bonus.
Yeah.
We would
Yeah.
catch up. But he's mixed race, so he has, a different experience to me. Yeah, and then there were some slightly distant cousins. When your parents don't really tell you how you're related to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a cousin that passed away of sudden adult death syndrome.
Oh, I had a.
I think she would have maybe been. It might have been like 8 or 10 years older. So she, if I'd got to know her, who knows what that dynamic would have been.
Yeah.
But I have a very big family. It's just not everyone can plan to have children at the
I hear that.
time.
I hear that.
So,
I hear that.
Yeah.
I still went to my nan's house in Ilford, and sometimes my cousin would be there, sometimes not.
So it sounds very normal,
Yeah.
like typical of us and how we do things.
So on the school preview day, we did spot a black girl walking towards the school, and my mum and I were like, okay, run, you've got to talk to her, you've got to introduce yourself to her. But we did not end up being friends. And what ended up happening, she ended up being friends with someone that was racist towards me, a ginger girl.
Oh.
So at some point in school, I think we were doing tennis, and randomly she was like, there ain't no black in the Union Jack. And I was like,
Who said that?
This
Black
is like,
girl.
no, the
Ginger girl.
It gets confusing, doesn't it? But we're gonna fast forward in a bit. But yeah, so she said there ain't no black in the Union Jack. I was like, well, there's no red or blue people. And then she was like, well, I'm ginger, so there's red people. And you know, the teacher didn't really do anything. There wasn't, you know, it kind of ended there. But,
So within your school dynamics, so then you're carrying the kind of the burden and the trauma from primary school, but then now you're in this new space, new horizons, and then you said your friendship group was dynamic but not black, it was white, Asian.
So I obviously at secondary school you're kind of like aware of everyone, but you are split into forms.
So yeah,
I feel like all the black girls, we were sort of split across forms. I don't really remember. I'd have to look in my yearbook to see if there was anyone else.
were you split?
But there
and
wasn't a lot of you.
It's hard to remember, and I don't want to say names. But,
of course not. But was it a thing where, you know, like, because also that dynamic where your schedules like don't match up, so then different break times and stuff like that, was it like that, or just generally?
Well, we all had different sets for subjects.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
again, I can't remember like who was in the I was in some top sets. So I remember when I moved up in maths once, I don't know if I was the only black girl. It's hard to remember.
I hear
the yearbook, but there might have been one other, if that, one or two others, if that, including like other black and mixed race kids. Obviously there was Asian kids and then East Asian kids, you know, Egyptian. Like it was somewhat diverse, but I'd really have to look at the yearbook.
But for you gravitated towards a group of white girls and East Asian girls and stuff.
I did have a mixed race friend, but we fell out. And, you know, I tried to like make it work, but it just wasn't happening. So I think eventually I sort of, you know, went towards some friends who were, mixed, like East Asian and white, Indian and white. One was Chinese, one was Indian, and the rest were white. And yeah, I was sort of friends with them. I've been friends with them for like 25 years. I'm mainly in touch with the two mixed girls, but I still speak to some of the others.
Yeah.
But I think we all just naturally, I don't know, we sort of understood each other. I mean, we couldn't really discuss race at that age. It was, you know, racism just sort of happened, and I feel like I kept it to myself.
Right.
So I think if I were to have a child, I'd be like, you know, if anything happens, like if you feel uncomfortable about anything, you've got to tell me, because I think you internalize it.
You do. And I think that's where one of the things that we said was like, if you don't have, you're missing out on having that sisterhood, that community, that communion with people that understand what you're going through. So that, even you just saying that you kept those things for yourself, was that, and I know you might not remember, was it a conscious decision to not bring race into any of the conversation because you weren't amongst people of the same ethnicity? Or was it just something that you didn't even think because you were too young to even consider that?
I don't think we really thought about it. I don't know.
No, but you personally, rather than them, but you personally, if anything happened to you, like untoward.
Like, did you feel comfortable in even sharing things with your friendship group, or was it quite a surface?
No, it wasn't a surface thing.
Okay.
But obviously you're insecure about other things, about your weight as well.
Yeah.
Like, it was, you know, the noughties was so toxic in terms of like body image.
Yeah.
And obviously some people are talking about dating and, you know.
But I suppose it is hard. I think what we were saying is it is hard to, if I have a racist experience, I can say it to these lot because they will understand what I'm talking about. But I wouldn't necessarily be able to explain it in the same context to someone who is not my ethnicity.
Yeah.
Because they'll be like, oh, they wouldn't quite understand. There's always this thing of, well, what did that person do? Or what did you do? You know?
Like, what happened?
Before.
Yeah.
But I could just say, this person spat on me, and you would know that that was a racist experience because I had those experiences growing up. I was spat on twice, you know, as a teenager, preteen. So I was able to have those conversations. So I suppose if you didn't have, there's being aware of it, and then there's also feeling like people wouldn't necessarily understand where you're coming from. So I'm wondering if it was a part of that for you as well.
It's hard to remember like when everything happened.
Of course,
Obviously,
of
there
course.
were, there were situations where I had braids in, and then when the braids fell out, and everyone laughed. But I wasn't friends with my current group of friends then.
Okay.
I feel like it was like year 10 onwards.
Yeah.
So again, racist stuff happened, but I wouldn't have had anyone to really discuss it with. When, you know, in English, the teacher was like, have you ever experienced racism like in the front of the whole class? Yeah. Which is really
What
hard
to you?
Very insensitive.
Just to you?
to me. I don't know if I
That's
was the
crazy.
only black girl in the class, but I think I must have been, because she put me on the
Yeah.
spot, and I didn't know what to say.
Unless maybe she was thinking she was being, you know,
Like,
diverse by saying it
But
to
we
you.
also
in
did of
particular.
my cement, and I've blocked out. I don't know if the N word was said. I can't remember.
Oh yeah,
So,
we did
like,
mice and men too.
You'd think that's something I would remember, and I don't know if I've blocked it out. Like, I don't know. I feel like I used to have like stomach issues in English, so I think when I can't remember what things happened when I had my current group of friends, but we didn't really talk about race. They may have asked me about my hair. I don't know if it would have been them or other people. You know, because my hair was relaxed, so people would be like, "Can you grow an afro?" And I'd be a bit annoyed because I'm like, I'm trying to conform with this relaxed hair, and you're asking me to grow an afro. I've literally not had an afro for several years. So,
how did you feel about yourself as a black girl? Because you just mentioned having relaxed hair and conforming. I mean, we also had that from curly perm. Got to have your hair relaxed hair as a sign of being.
So it still happened, even though I didn't have black friends. I still
was there. But were you a confident black girl in yourself being black? Did you have the standard issues of maybe skin tone, like anything or anything like that?
Well, skin tone wasn't an issue because it was
not.
There was no colorism.
Yeah, I hear you.
But yeah, I was insecure anyway. Like I wore glasses, I had braces. I had to have a head brace at one point. I had to wear the head brace at night.
Okay.
So I'd be on MSN in my, in my head brace. When I was young, people would be like, "Oh, your mum's so pretty, but you look like your dad," and like you don't want to. My dad was great, but you don't want to be told that you look like a man. Like,
yeah.
So again, I had insecurities. They weren't even necessarily race related, but obviously wearing glasses. In movies, it would be like, oh, the girl takes her glasses off, and then I did eventually get contact lenses. It took a while. I couldn't even touch my eye at first.
Yeah,
I figured it out. But then that doesn't. Sometimes you get what you want, and it doesn't change things. You need internal work.
Say that again. The truth.
That's the journey that I went on.
I think what's great though is from listening to you. I think what is great is that you did find a group of people that you were able to be yourself around and feel comfortable and secure at a time where you were feeling quite insecure. So at least you may not have had the black friend experience during that point of your life, but at least there are people that you're still friends with today. And
that's
it's super important.
We have so much pressure in how to be black, in the different variations of what it means to be black, and how black are you, or how black aren't you, and if you're a coconut or whatever. And then when you do meet someone that's outside of your group and you just get it, there is something special. I remember one of my best friends, Sarah, we just clicked in middle school, and it was just a thing. We just got it. We had the same sense of humor, and we were literally like twins. Just that she was black, she was white, and I was a black girl. But there was still, for me, I had my black crew, and inevitably I gravitated away from having white best friends and stuff like that. Not by force, it just happened. What was dating like? Those teenage hormone years when it's like, oh my God, no, because I was insecure. I was like, no one liked me. And going to white schools for me and seeing all the white boys fancy everybody else but me. And even though I think, for me, I'm always like black guys, but when you're in a space, you're just like, what's everyone, oh, that
Who's the popular boy?
Who's the popular boy? So I did have my moments of like, oh, I like that one.
I did end up dating a white guy when I was 18. I know in one of my videos, I said I felt validated, but obviously growing up, with glasses and braces and.
Was that validation the boy validation or a white boy validation? Because it's real. I think there's something we can't shy away from. We get validation from a boy liking you, and then possibly because we are in a white supremacist world, sometimes that validation becomes a thing.
Yeah, that was probably the case, but.
How long did that last?
Well, it didn't really. But yeah, I'm trying to remember.
With this remembering thing, is it because you've blocked it out to protect yourself?
No,
or is it just generally
I just forget.
old
I'm
age?
pretty scatty. I'm so used to short form video. In school, I had a white friend, and just sometimes, because she was the one that moved away, and we would meet up, and she'd be like, "Do you have friends that have hair like you?" Which is an interesting way of putting it.
It is.
Yeah.
That is a very interesting one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know why she would have asked that. I don't know. Again, white people ask things and.
But
That's an interesting one. That is a strange thing to ask.
I think that's the way of. I feel like that was her way of asking if she has black friends.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. But it was like her
openly saying, "Do you have black friends?"
Yeah.
I did Q&As on my blog, and someone was like, "How do you feel? Because all the bloggers are white, and I was a bit like, I didn't talk about race,
right?
But I didn't know how to really.
Okay.
I think I said something like, I never want to be seen as different, or I don't. Yeah, it's hard. I need to still unpack a few things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think that planted a seed. Obviously, you know, Black Lives Matter, you know, there was things happening in America that we all became aware of. And then I discovered Black Ballad in 2014. So I think I went to a Nubian Skin event and I met Toby.
Yeah.
And she gave me a really nice business card. And I went on her site and I just read everything. So yeah, I started. I was writing for the Metro at one point, so I wrote about Bianca Miller on The Apprentice, with the nude tights, and I was so lucky. I could literally just write things. I didn't have to pitch, so I just wrote like she should have won, and I love looking back at it because I was kind of like, I just didn't really care about. Obviously, I cared about the situation, but I didn't really think about how it would be perceived. I was like, no, she should have won. This is important. This is what I think, and that posted really well. So then I did some work with BuzzFeed. We did shopping for makeup on the high street. Went to Topshop. Obviously, they had makeup. It was rubbish. The shade range. And they had a makeup artist. They would put like the darker shade, which was sometimes not very dark.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I was doing, you know, some of that outside of blogging stuff. And then there was some situations. I remember writing, there was a site called Blog Lovin', which would rank the bloggers. It was like a discovery platform.
Sure.
They would have newsletters. They were very white. And I remember writing to them, suggesting bloggers. They ignored me. So I would start to bring up diversity. I labeled it diversity in numerous ways. But it was hard to, you know, approach brands about this kind of thing. I think Grace Victory was also talking about it, you know. So any list of like top bloggers that was all white, I would keep.
So it feels like you naturally gravitated towards being a bit of an activist without intention.
Accidentally, whilst doing my other content, so fashion content, travel content, I was going on press trips, sometimes being the only black person. There was a situation where a PR rapped the N-word, and I had to send a WhatsApp message with lots of articles. No one realised, because it was like a European, like lots of Europeans, no one from the UK, no one black. So I had to send him a WhatsApp message, and he was like, you know, as someone who's gay, I know how it feels, and I will never hurt anyone. Let's not take this further, kiss. So yeah, there was lots of situations.
It feels like you were, you know, whilst you're learning about yourself, like you're traveling. So you're learning about different ethnicities and cultures in different places, but also you're getting into fashion and you're using makeup and you're like, well, this doesn't work for me. So then you're finding your people. This is what it sounds like to me. This is the journey.
Definitely. So yeah, it's all documented on my blog. And obviously with TikTok, sometimes people just see the initial video, but they don't think like, let's look. Like they're like, did you go to Jamaica? I was like, I was there in February. I go every February. You know, I've written about diversity since 2016. A lot of my posts were used as inspiration in June 2020 when everyone was like, we need to shop black businesses. They would use my posts as inspiration, but I wasn't able to capitalize. Yeah, so in 2020 my nan passed away, so that was obviously very difficult during lockdown, and then there was like a racial awakening going on. Again, people are like using my content, and I'm like, you know, upset about my nan, and then I'm seeing people are tagging me as like black bloggers to follow, and it's like, what happened when I was talking about diversity? You know, loads of brands like Blog Loving, they were suddenly featuring black influencers.
That's what happened.
Other brands that I had gone to, and they're like, no, we don't. They just dismissed it. They were having to backtrack. So it was a very interesting time. There are a lot of, you know, white people apologizing, sometimes apologizing for things I didn't even realize I said, which is so funny. I was like, okay, I'll take that. But it was a time I could be literally like, you did this to me, and they'd be like, I'm so sorry. It was such a weird time to be validated, sometimes after years. So
what did you so this latest clip that you've got going viral everywhere, when you was doing that story time, what did you want from it? What was the conversation that you thought it was going to stir?
As a content creator, you're just sort of trying different things. You don't know what's going to, you know, take off. Obviously, I've been a lot more vulnerable. I'm in my messy, vulnerable era, talking about the fact I haven't been in a relationship. And then I obviously I've dated. That's another story.
Sure.
But like, it's not like I've had like
significant.
What's been the most, I would say, hurtful criticism on your post that you've seen? What have people really come at you with?
For not trying to pursue these friendships with girls that were rejecting me. That just seems, who would do that? Like, again, you know, my focus was education, getting a job. If I had time to go on MSN, that was great. Obviously started a website as well. Some people saying I wasn't intentional. I think a lot of us were not intentional about anything in the 2000s.
Someone said that, yeah.
I had Gen Z telling me off, and I'm like, you're not even 26.
Your friends are online.
Again, you've grown up. We've had all these books. You know, everyone. There's so much like natural hair representation. I didn't have that. If I'd had that, you know, my hair could have been very different. But
you're natural now, or
I am natural. But you know, my sister's done very well. She's literally, she just watched YouTube, and her hair is like, you know, big and
Your
amazing.
sister, sorry to just jump in there. What was your sister's experience growing up? Was it the same as yours in terms of her friends?
I would have to ask her about that. I think that's her story. She's got her own story to tell, I think.
Yeah, of course. It was just, I'm just wondering, because Nana said that her experience was very different to her sister's growing up.
Yeah.
In terms
we
of
were at polls for the black experience, definitely having black friendships. And my sister's 11 years older than me. So she is a teenager in the 80s, very different. I was born in the 80s, so it's a different time.
Yeah, she was born in 2001. So I think she did have black friends.
Yeah.
But I haven't spoken to her. It's quite difficult when you have big gaps as well. Maybe sees me as a bit of an aunt, or like, I don't know, it's a bit of a weird dynamic. Yeah. But we're still, I think now as adults, we're getting closer. Yeah. But I think, you know, it was a bit fraught when we were younger.
So who was Kristabel Plummer? I want to say Plummer. I don't know why. I know.
She did that. I know.
Everyone, of course, people make jokes about being a plumber, you know, toilets and things.
Plumber.
Plumber, it's the same pronunciation.
Yeah, I know.
And it is a Jamaican name.
Thank you. Thank you.
I didn't say it wasn't.
No, because you were thinking of the B. It's very Jamaican. Like, it's literally just Jamaican.
All I was saying is other Caribbean countries are available too.
No, but that surname, it's like Fosu. And somebody being like, oh, but there could be a German. And it's like, well, they're going to be a Ghanaian. It's a Jamaican surname. Okay. That's what I would say. And I know this because I know a plumber.
So, yeah, I did get a comment once, somewhat from a white person. They're like, oh, we got the same surname.
Oh,
like that is.
Oh my God.
Oh.
No, they didn't.
I guess I've had some interesting comments.
I would have been like, can you pay me then?
Oh, God,
yeah, sweet,
there's not enough
money.
Not enough time.
Pay me.
There's sometimes when people see you as an accessible black, they say the wildest things, right?
I think that's happened sometimes. You know, one girl, an influencer, she said, I like the way you speak about diversity because you don't make me feel bad about myself. So I had to confront her in 2020. I was busy in 2020.
And just to commend you, because I think some of the things you've said, you've actually indirectly or directly and intentionally done DI'd, spoken up in events or for black people. And it's not performative. It's just like you've just done it. Yeah. And I think sometimes, especially people who are criticizing you and coming for you, need to understand that you can do all this cussing online, but what are you actually doing?
Absolutely.
Without, exactly.
And
without.
I think I've been doing all black influencer trips to St. Lucia, so I'm very friendly with St. Lucia tourism.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
But after having these experiences, you know, with the races of girls touching my braids, press trips, and I had this opportunity, and I was like, could we make this a thing during Black History Month? So we did that in 2019. So I feel like it was the first black influencer trip. Pre-topical.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I like to think.
That's amazing.
With Stephanie.
Amazing.
And Onyi and Sade. And then we did it again in 2023 with Alana, Nicole, Liv, Madeline.
Like one's due in 2026.
So there is actually going to be one in October. But
in October?
You've already picked. Look, wait, guys, before we...
You got to go to the Caribbean tourism events. That's where it's at,
I didn't know.
Okay.
You have to take us.
That's the thing. I've had to do a lot of research. So when I wanted to do more travel events, I was like, okay, how do I do that? Let me find the travel networks. Let me, go to the Travel Expo, World Travel Market. And I sort of focused on the Caribbean because obviously it was close.
Okay, so the next one you do, okay. Yes, please.
Just come to the Travel Expo.
Okay. Yes, that's it. She's literally given us the inside track. We go to the travel event.
Steph got engaged. She's been able to go back twice.
Yeah.
Do you follow Esther?
Yes, I do.
She's gone. She's always in the Caribbean.
No, she does a lot. She did some promo.
It's just networking. It's not about just being online, having loads of Twitter followers. It's about doing the research, looking at like how these people getting to where they are. Who do I need to talk to? And then bringing people along.
We've been told.
I've been told. Literally been set right.
I don't want to be told. I want to be taken.
Obviously, the recent stuff has been interesting. Talking about dating. I also had some fibroids removed, so I found out about that in July 2023. So documented that journey of, realizing that this was a thing. I looked pregnant, basically. So I didn't know, like, again, I was just like, I'm gaining weight because of this and this medication and that. And I didn't know that fibroids could affect you in that way.
Yeah.
So I found out the size of them in November 2023. One was 18 by 14 by 12.
It is crazy when you hear the size of them.
Yes,
It's
you
crazy.
think,
How?
I've got a picture. It's not nice.
God.
It's very surreal to think that was in me, and I don't know when it started. Obviously, it could have been the stress of the pandemic and other things. But yeah, I got them removed in November 2024 after waiting, a while.
Good.
That's quite recent as well.
Quite recent. So yeah, I was cleared to do most exercise in February, but obviously went to Jamaica. But I was doing dancehall classes in Jamaica. So
Oh my
that was quite a
God.
fun way to get back into.
I mean, look at you people cussing. Do you do dancehall classes? Can you even dance?
Do you go to the
dancehall?
Caribbean?
Do you, 8 times.
Do you have a passport?
Yeah, relax.
I don't
man.
go. I've been to an all-inclusive there once, I think.
Yeah.
And I've been to like Green Grotto Caves, obviously Devon House.
So where do you stay? Like,
I
when you
stay in
go?
Spanish Town. So
Oh, you do?
literally,
Okay.
like, I'm not. You can't get more Jamaican
Yeah,
than
yeah.
Spanish Town. The tourists don't really go there. It's a bit like, Elephant and Castle Shopping Centre is like Spanish Town Shopping Centre. There's preaching, people selling random stuff. You can buy pineapple. Like, it's great. It's an experience. Hoping to do a group trip to Jamaica in February. So some people are interested in that already. So I need to. I know if you want to come as well.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
But yeah, I think just expanding. I'd love to do more. TV and books.
Yeah. I think you got the personality for it.
Yes.
What can I
Thank you.
And I think that's it, isn't it?
Yes.
We want more time with you. Do come back.
Yeah.
I
Please.
think I'm back.
Yeah.
And thank
joining
you.
enemies.
And thank you for being a good sport, because we were just talking and it's great because we can chop it up. Welcome to your Aunties Together. I'm Auntie AK, the auntie of all aunties, and I am here with...
I'm Farrah, your resident Caribbean queen.
I'm Nana, aka the Black Fairy, aka Dark and Lovely.
And we're one auntie down. She's out in Africa.
Gallivanting.
In Africa. But we are joined by the wonderful, the beautiful, the eyes that I want to steal, Mr. Daniel Guhdeh. Guhdeh. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Appreciate you for coming.
Long time
today.
coming as well.
Right.
I accosted Daniel in Wireless a couple of years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and probably talked his head off because I was slightly inebriated.
Okay.
But I was like,
So it's fine. That's why I'm here.
It's a yappy to yap. I love a yap. Guys, before we get into all the things with Mr. Daniel, can I call you Daniel or Guhdeh?
Whichever you prefer, my love.
She's going to mix it up in some weird way now.
Yeah, sometimes it's going to
gonna
be
wish you
Daniel,
didn't say
sometimes
that.
it's going to be Baby Love. All right, so before we get into it, got some announcements. First of all, you must hit. Wow.
I was going to do
what
a
are you
new
gonna do?
song.
Hit me.
I don't know what to play.
wow.
But it is now. Boop the like button, boop the like button, boop the like button, boop the like button, boop the like button.
Boop it now. Do it. You see
that?
And also, please make sure you
Subscribe to our membership. It is £1.99 if you just want to be our friends. But if you want to be family and get involved in family things and have access to family content, it's £4.99. Still cheaper than a bag of chips.
Yeah.
And also, if you're listening on the podcast airwaves, please.
You need to leave us 5 stars and 5 stars only. If you don't do that, we will return to sender. Please leave us comments as well. Get involved in the chat.
Girl, that stops me from doing my lightning at the right time.
That was her point.
Yes.
You witchlet.
You know.
Anyway, guys, and also just a reminder that we're your aunties. We're not experts. We're just sharing our opinions, our thoughts, and our opinions and our thoughts. Do not come for us. It's not your business. Leave us alone. Thank you, please.
Yes.
Does it? Okay. Now we're going to get into enemy of progress because there's some mad people out there and we're trying to protect you from them, make you know who's who. First up, my enemy of progress is the media. It happens quite a lot. In specifics, it's Variety and the New York Times, because you lot are trying it with my boy Ryan Coogler and his film Sinners. But anyway, the reason why I'm so mad at the media and some of the people talking is because basically, okay, but first of all, spoiler warning, because we will get into it a little bit. That's your business, fam. So what they're doing is they're reporting on the box office sales in a way that's a little bit salty and jealousy, because Basically, Ryan Coogler's Sinners, starring Michael B. Jordan, Wunmi Mosaku, Delroy Lindo, and a host of others, is a 1930s black Southern horror. It is great, and it has made an impressive 63.5 million global for its debut weekend that opened just this weekend, with 48 million from North America alone, and lots of it percentage being black folks who do what we do and we do when we do. So basically, all that's very great. It's got an A rating. It's got Rotten Tomatoes like 100%, all that type of stuff. And Ryan Coogler was granted a very rare deal where he gets to get the ownership rights of his film back after 25 years from Warner Brothers. That does not happen often, and he's done it. So despite all of this, here come the Kens and the Karens of the media, Variety, New York Times, as I said, with their bait headlines. So Sinners was made for about 90 mil, and overall its marketing and production costs were 150 mil. And by the way, comparatively, because this is what these guys did, Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was made for a similar budget. However, for Sinners, in Variety, it was written that Sinners' budget means profitability remains a long way off, pointing to the cost that it cost. It's questioning now, well, despite the turnout being terrific, it's still like, it doesn't mean to say it's going to be profitable. Why are you talking like that? Because when you said the same thing about Quentin Tarantino, who'd made less money over the first weekend, and they were like, it's amazing, a career best, a win for original content for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, yeah? And also, New York Times.
Did it actually make profit?
I actually don't have that fact if it actually made profit and met that. But the way they were celebrating it compared to the opening weekend of
There
Sinners.
was no and/ors.
No.
There was none of that.
No, none of that. And also New York Times said, Sinners is a box office success with a big asterisk. It literally wrote those words as if to say, like, again, casting doubt on its marketability, profitability because of its big budget. But however, New York Times also said about Quentin Tarantino's a box office hit and a win for both Sony and Tarantino. And also the people are saying that Ryan's deal is going to mess up the studios, but yet Quentin Tarantino's was one for auteurs and filmmakers. How brilliant, how amazing he made this deal. Fuck you lot, you enemies of progress. Shut the fuck up and stop being jealous and hating, because Sinners is a great film. You don't have to like the film. We can talk about whether you like it. You don't have to by force like it, but don't run bait headlines like that, and don't be disparaging of a wonderful achievement of a black director who's very, very good and at getting into the prime of his career. Cool. Yeah, so what do you guys think? Because I'm very incensed and hot under the collar.
I think it's fuckeries, because the interesting fact here is whenever a film is released and they talk about opening weekend, it is always in relation to how much it earned in the opening weekend. They never caveat that by saying it. Okay, what they might do is say it costs X to make.
Yeah.
They don't start talking about marketing budget and all the other budgets that have come with the making of the film. They just talk about the actual film budget that it took to make the film versus how much it's made during the opening weekend. So it is extremely funny that on this occasion with Ryan Coogler, and it's his fifth film, and it's so successful. It's down to make so much money that they've decided that they're going to have a dig at it and remake the wheel by talking about, well, actually, we don't know if it's going to be profitable yet. Let's see what happens when the next big white film comes out, if they're going to talk about how profitable it is in the first weekend versus all these other things. It's just,
and they won't.
It's so transparent what they're doing.
It's racist.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's purely racist because you don't have these same metrics. And it even doubles down being racist because there are so few black films. And then to kind of put in money, which is generally the excuse for, is it going to be profitable? Are people going to go and watch it? Is generally what they kind of shroud blackness in. Like, is it going to sell? Is anybody going to come? Them casting that in this article is racist. Because you're making people sit there and think, actually, yeah, it's kind of critically acclaimed, but maybe that's it. Maybe it's just that it's done really well, but are people actually really going to go? This is sellout material. It's actually out of order. What I want is all of the black actors, whenever they get mentioned in Variety, and you guys put it on your page, there needs to be some solidarity because you're putting a racist publication, and I'm saying it, this is racist. Are you guys going to still have that on your page? Are you going to laud it up like, oh, I've been in Variety? I actually think solidarity means standing on business and shunning it and doing a boycott, because we're in the age of boycotts. I think Variety needs to be boycotted today.
Are you going to go and see Sinners because you haven't seen it yet?
Yes, I'm definitely going to go and see it. I was even trying to get like a bootleg on my computer.
No
Hey!
No, you weren't. No, you
Can't
weren't.
lie.
Because you want to be
I
a part
just
of the
want to
conversation.
stay. I want to stay in my yard sometimes. So I just wanted to tap 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 and watch it while I was at home, but they wiped that off the internet.
Yes,
as quick
of
as they
course they
could
did.
because
You have to
they want
support
people
with
to
your
go.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Your
But
feet.
I do understand your perspective on it being racist because I think people's minds are conditioned to want black people to do crazy things.
Yeah.
And this is a big achievement. Like
Yeah.
for a film that hasn't been done before, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm so sick of the slavery and the struggle, the guns and hustle, gang members, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So this is very refreshing and it's amazing to have such an amazing first weekend. And you are right in saying that they don't talk about the other costs normally. So why would you be bringing that up now?
Yeah, but they're just vexed because anyone that's worth their salt who's seen the film are basically hailing it as a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And saying that he's created a new genre. Those are Spike Lee's words, by the way.
Yeah.
He said that this is not a horror film; it's a new genre.
Yeah.
I
I
A
absolutely
horror
agree
buster.
with it.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, a genre buster. Like it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's slightly. You can't call it a horror.
No.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
just horror. It's not just a horror.
No.
It's lots of things. in
So
horror.
much deeper than that.
Yeah. And I think, to be fair, the trades do break down different films and do talk about profitability market, but they do talk about it. But it's just like the minute it's a black film, there's extra layers of scrutiny and they say wild things recklessly because it's like, oh my God, the blacks have done it again. How do they do it?
Yeah.
They undermine and patronize the ability of people who, like, Ryan Coogler went to film school. If you guys have seen his clip that's gone viral about him breaking down the different types
Yeah.
of film.
But if I hadn't gotten started when I did, and graduated film school at 24, and made Fruitvale at 25, and made Creed and Black Panther around the time of being 30. All these things were like dominoes for me. And if I hadn't gotten that start, I never would have met Chad, whose time was so limited. And had such a profound effect on my life. So I'll leave y'all with this. All the aspiring filmmakers, actors, journalists, critics, all of y'all that aspire to communicate with film language through your work, through your art. No time like the present. Get going. Make that movie. Hit that audition. Criticize. Criticize whatever you like to criticize. Break it down for the folks who need to break down. Go. Don't wait. Do. Go stand in a place where you feel uncomfortable until you're there long enough that it is. Thank you.
He's a film student. Not that means anything in per se. Like people can create, not everyone goes to school, but he's a graduate of film school. He's studied film, and his films have been critically acclaimed.
He's mastered his craft.
Yes.
Pretty much all of them have been critically acclaimed. I mean, people are debating about Wakanda forever. You know, it is what it is. But that's
Black Panther
tied to
2, okay.
yeah. But that's not down to him not being a skilled filmmaker.
Exactly, because I think why people are pissed more, or why the naysayers are chatting shit, is because this is his own original content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something that he was given and told, make this. He has put his heart and blood, sweat and tears into this. You know, the music in it comes from his relationship with his uncle and what he heard growing up with his uncle. He's, you know, the storylines, where it's placed, all of these things, the historical content, the blend of historical music throughout the fucking film. Like, people are just vexed because they've never seen it before. And he's managed to get Warner Brothers to give him the rights to the film.
And that's the
Those
part.
are the parts that they cannot stand. He had this film for a long time and didn't make it because he wanted to own the rights to it.
Exactly.
They're pissed.
They
And
want
also-
it to be a one-off.
They do.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like whenever there's a black success story, they always want it to be like, oh my God, this person he's just a genius. It's just a stroke of luck. Like literally lightning came down and this is what made it happen. And really, I think the training is important, actually. I think more creatives actually do need to have training.
Yeah, I was just saying,
doing.
Yeah.
But he's been given lots of opportunities, and there should be more opportunities. He should be a shining beacon for actually there's way more creativity out there if you guys would give us a chance.
And just to touch on it, that Quentin had the same deal. He's done a deal with 20 years for, I think it was for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He did the 20-year, after 20 years, he gets the rights to it. So he did it, and and like I said, they celebrated him, saying, oh, wow, it's a thing for filmmakers, independent filmmakers, all that type of stuff. So how come Ryan's going to fuck up the industry for his deal?
Quentin?
That part.
Well, and also Quentin Tarantino. Michael B. Jordan, what did you want to say about him? On record, on camera. And everybody...
I don't know. I think Michael B. Jordan's a bit overhyped.
You know what?
That's just...
I agree. No. I had the same... I didn't see a trailer or anything. When we went to that screening, I had no idea. I just heard of Sinners. Hadn't really paid any attention. Because of Michael B. Jordan, I got to say, I think this is probably the best performance I've seen him in, other than The Wire. And I loved him in The Wire, but he was a kid.
He was in Creed as well.
Creed is okay. But I think he is so phenomenal in this. I doff my hat to him. I urge anybody, not even just black folk.
Everybody, just go and see it.
Everybody needs to go and see it, and then study a little bit more into the world that was created. Yeah. Because the historical facts are just so spot on. Yeah. Just research the Chinese people that were in the South.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That research.
Have a look at why. Have a look at why it's okay.
She's literally on the poster.
Yeah. Have a look at why they existed in the communities, in the black communities, or not just black communities, in the Deep South. Have a look at why they were there. It's so interesting. It's like opened up my mind to so many different things where I've now gone down the rabbit hole. Yeah. It's brilliant. It's
the first time I've even seen East Asians in a film like that in that way as well.
Yeah.
First time in that way.
Yeah. I want it to be a universe. Like, I want there to... When we left, I was like, oh, they don't need to do a Sinners 2. But I want to see that world in different ways. Yeah. From different characters' perspectives. I want to see more stories in that time. It's brilliant.
It is.
Michael B. Jordan, I love you.
He did the thing.
My friend.
He did the thing, but I concur with you, though.
All right. Who's your enemy of progress, Farrah Charles Jamphy?
See what I told you about them trying to colonise me. Anyway, speaking of colonisers, see the segue there? My enemy of progress is a combination of people. But firstly, it is a gentleman who goes by the name of Michael Langley, General Michael Langley, and he's the commander of the US Africa Command. And he sparked backlash after claiming that Burkina Faso's gold revenues are being used to prop up its ruling military regime.
Gratuities on the side that in order to the benefit of the strongman leader and not to the populace of the country. Does that sort of corruption and bribery go on with regard to the Belt and Road?
Absolutely, Chairman. I see this, and I don't mind calling them out, but Captain Tory and Burkina Faso, as they know that both, whether it's their gold reserves, that is all those proceeds are just in exchange to protect the junta regime. There's a number of examples across. Even in Sudan, what's going on with the rapid support forces and Burhan of the Sudan forces, when you get down to it, is all about the revenue that can be drawn out of that. And there are nefarious actors in the CCP or in sometimes Russia are complicit in those activities.
Burkina Faso's president, IBRAHIM Traoré, since ruling, he's come into power and he's done things like he has given them free healthcare. He's got rid of the debt. He has started his own currency. He started a range of electric vehicles for the own country. He's got rid of European wigs and stuff like that in courts. He has got rid of France being the first language of the country. So he's doing all of these things. Oh, he's given free education as well. He's doing all of these things for the benefit of the country, for the benefit of Africa, to step away from the colonizers, all these brilliant, brilliant things. And then what happens, as is written, as is standard, the Western world finds a flipping coconut to come and start chatting shit. Yeah, I called him a coconut bounty motherfucker. They rolled this prick out to come out and start saying, I am worried about the Burkina Faso people. What's going on? Where's all the gold going? I think I just told you where the money's going, bruv. You're talking about, he's using it for his own military because people are trying to kill him. Because people like you are funding coups to try and kill him in his country while he tries to make these improvements. You're talking about, we need to go and investigate what's happening. What about Trump? And all the shit that he's done. What about money on your own doorstep? What about the billions of dollars that you lot are taking and spending on wars in other countries? You want to go and find out about this man. Is it not because, why can't you just admit that it's because he's saying that he doesn't want to deal with you lot no more? Yeah. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I just cannot stand the fact that this black man is coming out and he's saying this shit. He's a pawn and he doesn't even realise that he's a pawn. Because he's a general and he's got all these medals for what? Fighting whose wars? Right. Against which people? Yeah. You're an enemy in the bin.
He knows he's a pawn.
Yeah.
Did you hear how he was talking? He was nervous as hell.
Yeah, that's true.
His ancestors were strangling his
throat.
It's like he couldn't even talk properly because everything about him was saying, I shouldn't be saying this, and I know that I am betraying my own by doing this. He was literally fighting for his life, metaphorically and on stage. Like, I was literally like, this is a sad state of affairs. But what else do we expect from Americans?
It's just so textbook, though, isn't it? Is that the minute, and we've said it, we sat here and we said it, the minute that they see a black country improving itself, that's when they start to drop all these lines of propaganda and they must be corrupt. No, you're corrupt.
Yeah. Do you get into politics and stuff?
I don't even know who you're talking
about. To be fair, Michael Langley, you do not need to know who he is. Well, you do actually you know what it is? You have to keep an eye on people like this because you're so easily turned. I guess I understand your role and you might feel, but where is your gumption? Where's your, no, I'm not going to do this. I don't know if it's as easy to say that, but you're in this position and you're allowing yourself to be used. And basically what he's doing is just turncoating for the whites.
Well, even if you bring it back to now, all right, so I don't know how old you are, but
12, 30.
Okay, all right, so you're missing it slightly. But let's say you was in your early 20s and they came and did a drafting and you had to join the British Army. Would you?
No.
I think that's the thing. Somebody who's in the military, they will make you do shit.
Yeah.
And that's a real thing for you young'uns.
That's what they keep talking about.
But generally, it's like, I think it may be like 17 to 25. If they do a drafting here, it's going to be young folk that they're going to wheel out there to be fighting.
I don't even trust the age of 25 because I think, especially if they get desperate, because people will find ways out of it, they will extend it. They'll be like, okay, you know what? The 30 to 35s, you're in it.
Of course they will.
I got a bad back. I injured my back at work. Since then,
I'll be a liability.
I can't do a madness. So
I hear it.
Count me out.
Imagine, I would not last. Yeah, that's one of the biggest reasons why I would never encourage anyone in my family to sign up to be in any army, any cadet, any navy, anything. Because if you get to that level as well and you climb up the ranks, you're going to be rolled out and you're going to be the face of it, and they will use you when they want to placate and recolonize the countries that you represent. And that's what happens all the time. Ibrahim Toure isn't necessarily... I'm not from Burkina Faso, so there's always going to be people that are for and against him.
Yeah.
In the news, it seems like what he's doing is an amazing thing. There are some things that people might criticise, and I don't live there, so I don't know what it's like being under military rule. So I wouldn't want to actually say all of that and all his intentions are great, because I don't know enough about him. But on the front line and in the headlines, what he's doing, we have said it before, we would like more African leaders and other black country leaders to follow suit and get rid of the colonizers and be more independent and get rid of that debt and find a way not to pay back that debt. How dare they be in debt? And sort out our countries and restructure them without being dependent on the West.
This is why they're vexed, though, because there are other countries that are joining him.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, he's absolutely influencing the younger population of leaders in Africa. And so, long may it rain. I hope it spreads to the Caribbean too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it could do. All right, so my enemy of progress. This guy has been on our enemy list numerous times. It is Shannon Sharpe.
Oh, no.
Oh, not so sharp, Shannon.
Yes, he's back. He's back on this. And I don't think Shannon Sharpe ever would have thought that this would happen to him. But he's been slapped with a $50 million lawsuit.
Gee whiz.
And he's being accused of rape of a very young lady as well, who he had a relationship with her, apparently. She's confirmed this as well via her lawyer, Tony Busby, that they met when she was 19 in a gym in LA.
And he was in his 50s.
And he was 55.
Gee whiz.
He is now 56.
You.
He was
Is this the
chatting
girl on the
to a
video?
19-year-old chick. No, she wasn't the girl on the video.
No.
So she slapped him with a lawsuit. Apparently, they had mediation before this lawsuit came out, and he offered 10 million. And they were like, absolutely not. We want 50. I don't know if Shannon Sharpe has 50 million. I don't know if this is a shakedown, as Shannon Sharpe says, but all I know is a 56-year-old hard-back man has no business talking to a 19-year-old.
To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about. And I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do. I love all you guys. Thanks.
Older men dating younger women is a red flag for me. I can't understand. There's no other interest that you would have with someone that is that young.
Yes.
Unless it's their, I don't want to call a 19-year-old sexy, but unless you're looking at them as an object, I can't explain it.
I hear it.
No, that's it.
That's the only thing that you could want from a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
And you want to manipulate, take advantage of, abuse, mentally abuse. There's so many different factors
Control,
to it that I could.
all of it.
Absolutely. And again, on the stance of the 19-year-old, it's like, why are you entertaining a conversation with a man of that age? It's only money. It's only wealth or status, in my opinion. I just think if my sister came to me and said, "Oh, my boyfriend here, he's 45." Okay, so what's he gonna teach you? Like, what are you gonna learn from him? Nothing. You wanna be spoiled. You want a little sugar daddy. That's it.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. And then this whole rape allegation. The topic of rape is so broad that for me it's very hard for me to say whether it could be true or not.
Yeah, at the moment.
Yeah.
The minute somebody flinches, you need to stop. So there's so many aspects to it. So it's like, obviously we were in the room. We can only go off of what's written on a piece of paper. So it's just like the law would have to handle it. But again, the law has allowed criminals to go scot-free simply because of the law and not the actual morals or the right way of doing something. So it's terrible.
Yeah.
You know what the craziest thing is? So Tony Busby released some of the audio.
Yeah.
And on the audio that Tony Busby released, you do have Shannon Sharpe talking about like choking the shit out.
Anything I say, you're just gonna like get mad at, and you're just gonna hang up on me. So I feel like
I'm not gonna hang up on you. Here's what it is.
what? What does that even mean?
Nothing, Gabby. You want to be a dick to me now, so.
I don't want to be. Don't manipulate me.
Oh, Lord have mercy. If you say that one more time, I'm going to choke the out of you when I see you. Thank you.
Well, I don't want to be choked.
Yes, you do. I don't think you have a choice in the matter.
Out of her. And then Shannon came back with receipts on his end of their text message conversations. And she is asking him to choke her.
Yeah.
Like literally, like, I want you to punish me, daddy.
Sorry,
Like,
all of that.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I definitely, the context is different. It's two different contexts. They were going back and forth on the phone. It seemed like a quite tense conversation.
Yeah.
So, and then when he said, I'll choke the shit out of you, it didn't sound like...
Sexual.
Yeah, it didn't
That
sound
one,
Okay.
the audio is threatening.
Yeah.
Shannon Sharpe says it's actually a 10-minute long
Yeah, he's
piece, and so he's alluding to
it being
there
edited.
be more to the conversation. Like maybe
unless
it isn't
unless
how
it's
it
some
present-
form of fetish.
Yeah,
how
that's
they
the thing.
communicate with one
Yeah.
another.
Because the
But-
text messages are suggesting that this is their thing. Like there's race play in there. Like literally, like she's talking about, I'm gonna have your big black baby. It's dodgy all round, really. I don't know. And then also, for me, I kind of have a bit of a problem that it's, this is all very recent and she didn't go to the police on this and you're suing him. And there's recordings. I don't know. I don't even like saying it, but it feels too calculated because when you're talking to your man, are you recording everything?
No, and that's part. But this is where I think the overarching is like, I don't know what it is. People always say when you're in this space, you're in the industry, you're not thinking, you've got money, you've got all the money in the world, all the success in the world, and your mind just goes nuts where you don't see common sense in any action and you just do for life. You're just out there being hedonistic. I don't understand. You're 56. It's not even like or 55. It's not like you're new to the game. You've been in the industry. Everyone, that's like a cautionary tale especially for black men. Cautionary tale. Stay away from them chicks that might come for your pocket and then put you in a situation. And that's not to put the victim, not to blame the victim at all, but it's also like, as a grown man, be more astute. And not to say that older women don't do this too, but this is so dangerous and so dodgy to be caught up in this situation.
I do think wealthy men think they're untouchable.
Yes.
They're stupid. And I'm not like, and it's obviously that people have gotten away with things. So P. Diddy, for example, has gotten away with things that was right in everybody's face. So that is the mentality of a lot of people at that stature. And Shannon Sharpe is very successful. When I looked at, I think he's got a podcast with Ojo Chingo.
Yeah.
When I looked at the revenue that they pull from that podcast alone that I've never watched, but they're pulling millions of views, I said, what? This is how you lot are going in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think men think they're untouchable and they think that they can just walk over women, do anything to women. What's the other guy's name? Jonathan Mayers.
Majors, yeah.
They're all the same
Yeah.
in thinking that their popularity and their success wipes out their bad behavior.
Start to believe their own hype. For me, I don't know enough about the case, whether to say that he's innocent or guilty. What he is 100% guilty of is being a dirty blood clot. Yeah? You're 55 years old. Why are you chatting to someone who could be your grandchild?
Literally.
Check it.
Yeah.
Grandchild, not child, grandchild.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah? That is all levels of disgust. Even, and it's just like manipulative as well. even if she's manipulating him, you intentionally went into that as the older person. The power dynamic is wild. You are this rich, famous person, and you're that much older than her. What are you thinking? So you can't find a girl your own age. You can't find a girl 5 years younger, 10 years younger, 15. No, you went for a girl who is young enough to be your grandchild. Because of all the reasons that you said, because you think that you're untouchable.
I just want to throw
Let's
in
see
there,
what happens to you.
just throwing in there, because it's about the dating age. Tracee Ellis Ross has been talking about dating.
Does she date 19-year-olds?
I know she hasn't. She didn't say.
She didn't say.
She didn't say. She just
I
said,
know.
I'm dating younger because the men her age are toxic. And we do hear from older men that women are hit their age are jaded, so that's why they go for younger. And it's not always the teens. Sometimes it's just. It might be the 30s or the 20s, but if they're in their 50s or 40s, they're not dealing with women of that generation. Tracee Ellis Ross, on the flip side, said, men her age are toxic because they've got the antiquated ideals of dating, so she goes for younger because she's not standing for it.
I mean, we've talked about this, that often I date younger men. And a lot of it is because...
Let's stop on that, folks.
Oh my God, we had a
Several
great dinner.
snaps on that
we
one.
had a great dinner, by the way, where across the table, your husband goes, but why? And I said, well, maybe because I can.
Yes, Parrish. This is what I'm saying. Tales from Tracy's.
It's fun. It's very fun to share.
Tracy tale.
But
you date a younger
I'm sorry.
But one of the
younger men.
reasons, though, that because I had to ask myself that question, I was like, what is this about?
Yeah.
Because I want a partner. And so often, and it's not just that I'm older, I'm also very embodied. I am a full, very whole person who knows myself, who is in charge of my life, and who lives a very full, just robust life. So it's not just age, it's like life experience and sort of a difference. But I had to ask myself the question, why? Why does this keep sort of coming up other than they're hot and gorgeous?
There's that.
There's that. But a lot of men my age are steeped in a toxic masculinity and have been raised in a culture where there is a particular way that a relationship looks. And anything that starts to smell of that for me, I did enough of it where I was controlled and felt like I was a possession or whatever those things were, or prize, and I have no interest in it, and I will not do it again.
Are we double standarding?
No, because what I'm saying is
not in this, maybe the young.
No, because a couple of weeks ago we spoke about that woman that had a baby for the 22-year-old and she's in her 30s.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So we're not double standing. I think it is disgusting. Anybody that is going to date someone who is 20-something years younger than you, you need to go and check yourself. Because what are you actually talking about? What is the power dynamic there? And it makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like I don't get me wrong. Yes, there's always going to be the 1-2 who are successful and they're in it for all of the right reasons, and God bless them and long may they reign. But I just think to go into that, to actually start instigating or accepting conversation from somebody who is so much younger than you, I have a problem with that.
Yeah. I think so. I think for the same thing with Tracee, she didn't say an age.
She didn't.
But if she was like, oh yeah, so my new boo is 23 years old, I'd be like, what's wrong with you? And you know, because she was grandstanding saying, I am a full-bodied woman, I've got a lot of stuff going on. Why are you in your 50s entertaining a 20-something-year-old?
If that's what she said.
Yeah. They are younger than 25 and their brain ain't even fully formed. It's not okay. So, but we can't put her in there yet.
I also feel like some older people like to date young because it makes them feel younger as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
They want to, I don't know, they want to be so involved in the youthfulness of other individuals. I just find weird.
And you see it, they start chasing the youth by changing themselves and doing all these things to themselves to keep up.
I think I mean, society does, and especially being in the public eye. 'Cause I think I went to a screening yesterday and I noticed one of the stars who I thought was quite young, had the fillers and stuff. And I noticed it and I was like, why are you doing filler? But the pressures of being in the public eye, which we all are all now in the public eye, there is a bit of like, it depends on your levels of security, where some people will succumb to certain things. And that includes keeping yourself around young people, because aging in this industry is seen as an abomination. Unless you're a white man, or black, to be fair, unless you're a man, men can generally age gracefully and be a bit weathered, and that's sexy. But a woman, God for fucking bid.
Yeah. But everybody has to change that, in a sense. But going back to Shannon Sharpe, I think it was only a couple of weeks ago he was having a little fight with one comedian guy.
Anybody ever told you you look like Miss Netta?
They do sometimes. I don't get up. It used to bother me, but guess what?
It don't stop them checks from coming in. And it don't stop them young ones from opening up.
So that's him. This is how he's been moving. He's been moving on some, like, I can get the young girls. Like, that is disgraceful for his age.
It's
like,
that validation as well, isn't it?
It's gross. And obviously, when you do shit like this is what you open yourself up to. And this is a thing that I would like more men to actually understand. There is security and value in settling down. Like, you don't always have to be out there on the streets. Like, you open yourself up to this type of fuckery.
And what are you scared of? You're a man, you know. What are they scared of?
It's a shame that I'm put in that category because I'm nothing like these niggas. So, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you because when I look at my female friends and the guys they date, their male friends, it's so like men can be so disappointing, and I come from the same species.
That's an interesting one because I think I was watching Joe Budden, as we do, and they were having a discussion about Shannon Sharpe and stuff like that, and they were usually the majority of the men in that pod are generally defensive when it comes to anything about toxic masculinity. They're like they're talking about Chase. They were like, she's generalizing. And we reject the toxic label. It's just this new wave thing that is all toxic, red pill, and we're not all like that. Obviously, we know they're not all like that, but Mel was actually saying, but it's very prevalent, the way that men disrespect women. From your kind of perspective of obviously don't date women, but you see men and how they behave. Do you see that, or is it women exaggerating, or do you see that there's a leaning imbalance to men being a bit more toxic towards women?
I don't think you guys are gonna like what I'm gonna say.
Okay, no, say it. Be for real. We need the truth.
Yeah, we need the truth.
We need the
I
truth.
feel like men bounce off of what they think women want, young women.
Okay.
Now, there are a lot of young women that are very homophobic and do express their toxic masculinity, and I feel like that is what men bounce off. And then men act in a way to and push it even more. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say.
But then no, break it down a little bit more for the people then.
So let's just say you're a woman, you like a masculine man that's very in tune with his masculinity, doesn't do anything to make you question his sexuality at all.
Right.
And you experience a man like me, for example, and you express a view to me of what you like, and your partner's there. Your partner is now going to kind of feed off of that and express their homophobia and toxicity.
So you're saying, do you think that women have pushed homophobia more than men?
I think so, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I actually made a video saying that women are more homophobic than men.
I actually, I totally understand what you're saying, because I do think that women can really push a very stereotypical kind of misogyny line, and then men will pick up on that. I actually
society loves masculinity. They love it.
Yeah.
To
and
the
it's
point
not
where,
just from men.
Yeah. And to the point where that if you do anything, it's like, oh, you're gay, or oh, you're not a man.
This is why we have to pause.
And that's why men are so, because when men are around their boys, they do things that would actually make women question their sexuality. Real male friendships are very open and very loving and very
it can be
intimate. Yeah. So, but if a woman was to see that,
I want to push
be
back.
Like, whoa, red flag.
I think I want to push back because I think I get that. I think I understand that absolutely. I feel like we're reacting because we live in a patriarchal society. I think we're fighting it now, and we're maybe pushing into a bit more matriarchy. But generally, the world was built on the back of patriarchy, right? And everything was about for white men, it's like the cowboy, that kind of masculine form and way of being, and anything outside of that form. So that's been pushed on everybody. So then women, especially women that have been put in a position where you've got to be soft, docile, subservient, but then and the person you've got to be subservient to is a alpha man, the typical. So how is it they pushed it when
I
it's been
think
pushed
I
on
know
us?
what you mean.
I specifically said young women.
What,
so-
Oh,
yes.
not older.
No,
Okay,
no,
younger.
I actually think older women are worse.
I don't think it's worse, but yeah, go on.
What I'm getting from that is, and I can see this play out.
Yeah.
Like, a man will think that he needs to represent his masculinity so much in front of a woman that they end up being extremely homophobic.
Yeah.
And it's like, you
And
don't need to do
toxic
that. And
as well.
toxic. And you don't need to do. I understand what I totally
No, but I
understand
see it
what you're
amongst.
saying.
Do you know why? Do you know why I'm
I don't
pushing
know
back?
if I,
Because I
I
see it
don't, I
amongst
don't know if
men.
I
That's what I'm
necessarily
saying, go on.
blame the woman in that equation. I think, but I can see, I have
see
seen
it.
definitely men feel like they need to be like beating their chest
Yeah.
in front of a woman just so they don't look like they're homosexual.
But I don't see it as they could. For women, it's like they want to attract the woman. So I don't see them like I've never seen it as okay. Their thought process is let me be like this because they might think I'm gay. Because I don't think maybe the newer generations where they need to be more definitive because there has been a lot more fluidity and openness to gender sexual blurring. So maybe that's why you're saying younger. So if you're saying older women are worse, I'm like I have never seen that. I think homophobia, sure, especially based in religion and stuff like that. But just as a man trying to church a woman, it's like you trying to get the woman and that's it. I don't see them thinking they might think I'm gay. Because usually it's like posturing for their men. Because like I've said it, I want to make pause enemy of progress. I can't stand when I hear grown men saying pause every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Because like if I say something, oh, I'm going to slide in that, pause. Like fuck off, man. Relax.
No, like calm down.
Be confident in who the fuck you are and what you're saying. Why do you have to pause? Why for that? Oh my God, that pisses me off. But that's around men. They don't do it around women. But
They do it around women as well. Like, if you think about it,
I don't get it.
if you think about how lots of men are socialized by their mothers to be who they are, that's a part of it as well. Like just the doting on boys, that the girls have to do more. It's like it starts from there. Like women will hold up misogyny, like how
Yes,
black
I
people
believe that.
will hold up racism.
Yeah.
Like, you ain't even got to do it. I think actually in proximity in groups, they're definitely, if there is one girl or two girls in there, I think the posturing that can go on can be co-signed by the girls. And even if you just think of dating, that there is such a thing as like more women will be like, we are not going to date a bisexual man.
Yeah.
I think it's actual factual actually when you look at it. Misogyny is actually held up by a lot of women.
I'm saying misogyny. There's two different things: homophobia and misogyny.
I'm saying they go in this
masculinity.
And toxic masculinity.
so it's
I think
like
there's
you kind of co-sign it all.
I get it.
The toxicity of it all. I think it actually, yes, women partake in this and can uphold the standard, and also don't see it as being that toxic when they're in certain spaces.
Yeah, I think
when you're around masculinity, I think a lot of girls are kind of like, no, but he's just being a man.
Yeah, I think there's complicitness, but I just don't. But yeah, go on.
On the topic of masculinity, because I was even thinking about this the other day, it's like, why are masculine presenting women accepted, but feminine men are not accepted?
Yeah.
How do you
Accepted by who?
Society?
But masculine women aren't, especially if they're straight.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're
about
not. They're not.
I think they are.
But then again, different perspectives. Because
And-
as a person who sometimes I've never really been accused of being masculine, but I'm conscious of having kind of harder features or something maybe. So I always felt a little bit like tomboy, and I leaned into being a tomboy, and I'm never like the pretty dolly girl. So I don't, and it's not, and it could be a bunch of things, but I think masculine black women especially, whether skin tone regardless, they're not accepted in that same way. I don't think so.
Or you mean like they have more representation, like you'll see them on TV and things? What do you mean accepted?
Darko, for example.
Okay.
But she's a stud.
Yes.
That's what he's saying.
That's what she's
She's
talking
But
about.
then, okay. So who's a feminine presenting man that you feel isn't accepted?
I can't actually think of one in hip hop or anything on music. Who would that be?
Lil Nas.
X.
Okay.
And they come for him all the time, for sure.
Saucy
Santana.
Even obviously there's a scale of what femininity is deemed as.
Yeah.
But a woman would look at Lil Nas and say he's very feminine. Even though he's not Saucy Santana, but he's still under that umbrella.
He would be under, okay.
And I feel like women can they get off scot-free for being...
I don't think... I'd love to have Darko on and ask, because I wonder how Darko's navigated. I wouldn't...
Boy.
I don't know, man.
I don't know if I agree
don't
with
know.
that. Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
But is it also I'm not in spaces, so I don't
That's
know.
and that's it. Like I can't really comment on. Well, I can comment, but I don't really know for a fact.
Yeah.
But I think from what I see on my very little limited level is I think that they get a lot of problems as well.
Then you're accepted. If you're
But Lil Nas is a and Saucy Santana, I think, is successful, no?
But Lil Nas is struggling at the moment.
At the moment, because he's done the most.
But Darko has been thriving from the beginning. From her first successful hit, I think she's been. I think that she's accepted.
But she presented
she's
as
around all the boys and whatever.
But she presented as feminine first, and then she eased into being more.
Yeah, but don't remember she took the wig off and everything.
Yeah, it's like she
had her first couple of hits, isn't it?
I think there's one of. I would think that Darko's journey might not have been as easy as possibly we're seeing it, and I don't think the world is absolutely ready for a masculine superstar or a feminine presenting superstar like from the other genders. I don't think the world is 100% comfortable. I do think there is a conversation where I'm going from the male perspective that there's more acceptance of lesbians than gay men.
Yeah,
obviously.
definitely.
Like, there's that, because that challenge is there to be friends with a gay man. Oh my God, I must be gay. Like,
and it's this weird thing as well with men, isn't it? Like if they think about two lesbians and they think they can get involved.
That too.
Yes. There's a fetish aspect.
Yeah, it's like, let me come to the party. No, they're lesbian.
But it's very interesting though, because like the toxicity levels, I do think even within that kind of like lesbians being accepted, there's women that co-sign that as well, and men will feed into that. There's something in this. I think there's something in it.
I don't think you're wrong, but I just don't see it. But then again, you said it's younger people, isn't it? So
no, but it's interesting.
It's very complex. It's very. I don't even understand it sometimes. I don't know where I fit sometimes, because there's days where I was having a conversation like with my followers, and I feel like I am quite masculine. I don't walk around with, I don't know, like a bloody pink tutu on and bunny ears. I'm still a man. There's things that when I wake up in the morning, I grab my balls, I hold my hand in my pants. Like there's things that I do that would deem me as masculine. That a completely feminine man would not even dare doing. But but to a woman, I am still like overly flamboyant. I don't know.
Okay.
It's so hard to explain.
I want to go back to that, but
I think I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I think I know what you mean, because I'm gonna hate him out. My brother's gay, and he doesn't say he's queer. My brother's queer, and he isn't overtly feminine at all, but he also likes to, probably he's not. You wouldn't call him masculine, but someone would look at him and be like, "Oh, But
no, I'm not saying that they. But that's the problem for me. It's like you're either masculine or feminine. You can't have elements of both.
That's why I'm mentioning him, because he would absolutely say he's both.
And the perspective of men. That's why men steer away from doing certain things, because getting your nails done, like a man that wants to keep his nails tidy.
Yeah.
Oh no, my man can't do that. I like my man a bit rough, and I like my man a bit with a bit of dirt under their nails.
No thanks.
But I want, and that's where it's so interesting when you have different walks of life.
Yeah.
Because in my world, it's less women saying that. Yes, women, we do, like, I know I'm going to date, I probably wouldn't feel, actually, I think I have dated someone who's a bit, but I probably would have a sit down in a moment with a guy if he is overly attentive to certain things that I have been trained to understand as being feminine actions, or that he might be leaning into another space. So then I would question that. And when that episode of Insecure came out, when Molly was saying that she wouldn't date with the bi guy, I would have to question myself. Like, I don't know if I'd be comfortable. I don't know. I haven't never had to be in that situation. So I think but I see more men having the issue about someone doing their nails. I'll be like, my brethren, me and you can go and do our nails. I'm not going to judge you on that.
I think a lot of things are based off of stereotypes as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's
I'm a person that I differentiate characteristics from gender and sexuality. They're all different things.
Sure.
Okay.
So gay men don't do this.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no rules.
So that's where my issue comes. It's just like, if a man wakes up one day and says, "Oh, I want to dye my hair pink," he shouldn't have to his sexuality shouldn't need to be questioned.
Yeah, what's it gonna do?
He doesn't need to be
He
a
just wants to
model
dye his fucking
to
hair.
have to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Where did this? So you've had the. I say luxury. I'm going to put the positive on it. You have the luxury of being from a like you are LGBTQ, right?
Yes.
And you've had the luxury of having that perspective and having to grow up and find yourself in that space, right?
Yep.
So what are the benefits of being from a community where these rules don't hold you back?
Okay, if I'm being honest, in the LGBTQ plus community, it is still very toxic. There are still the people think that there's gender roles in same-sex relationships.
Yes.
Right.
People think that if you do a certain thing, you must be a bottom, you must be a top. Like there's all that rubbish.
Yeah.
But obviously, I've been dealing with my sexuality for 10 years plus now, and I've gotten to the point where even with dating my partner, people look at us and think, how are you guys together? Like, who's the top, who's the bottom? Oh, how are you both wearing makeup? Like, and I'm just like,
Oh my God. There
So
must be the
ridiculous.
masculine.
yeah, there must be a man and there must be someone that
Yeah.
acts like a princess. And I'm just like, we're
It's
both
not
women.
that.
Yeah.
There's no role. If I wake up one day and I want to take over something, that's how I'm feeling that day.
Yeah.
But it changes. Like, it changes. But I am very big on femininity with women dating men, and that women should carry a lighter load and the man should
But then
look
someone
after a
will
woman.
say that. But then someone will say that's
Old-fashioned.
toxic and toxic. Someone would say that.
No, I don't think so.
You think
I think same sex is just we're the same, but
There's roles.
for a man and a woman, there's roles. That's what I
But
think.
someone would say
Interesting.
that what your take is toxic. Some would say that.
So you're saying, in a way.
They would say that because there's women that are fighting against that because people like even maybe Tracy Ellis Ross is saying, I'm a successful woman, I've done my career, and I don't want to date a man that's going to tell me that you be here and be subservient because we're meeting each other at the same level. So the roles are different. So if there is gender roles.
Well, it's if you want to.
Yeah,
It's if you want to. But I do believe if a woman says that I want to live a stress-free life, I want to be a stay-at-home mom, and I believe that women should be able to do that.
And the man should be the provider for that.
On the flip side?
There's no flip side. Two men can't.
No, on the flip side, as a woman being the provider for a man.
No.
Well, so then
I don't
someone will
agree
say
with
you're
that,
toxic.
What?
Yeah, I will say.
I'm sorry, but okay.
Listen,
I come from a two-parent household. My mum was the breadwinner under our household, and I saw the weight that she had to carry.
Yeah.
And I would never wish that on any woman.
I hear it.
Because I feel like if my mum had a softer life in her marriage with my dad, she wouldn't live the way she lives in this survival mentality. Where
I
she
hear
feels like
it.
She's got to do everything and make sure everyone's happy, and yeah. So I wouldn't wish that on women. I'm sorry.
So you think that men carry that better? Like generally, men can carry the load a lot better than a woman.
I don't think they can carry the load better than women, but it's about being transparent. If one day or if 1 month you feel like, babes, work is piling up on me, or I can't bother to drop you to the mall, or whatever the case is, you're allowed to have some time off, and the wife pick up where you've fallen short. But I do believe a man should be a provider.
So in that,
but
in that, if you're saying you're frustrated with and this is just a question, if you're frustrated with people looking at same-sex relationships and asking but if you've got two men and you're saying without the presence of a woman to take the load, then that's the question that people would be confused to ask or compelled to ask.
No, it's not. There's no confusion. It's like we're both men.
But then is that? But then
we are both men.
Yeah,
blank, period.
as brethren then in that kind of dynamic, because I think people but people, I guess, if you want to have some insight to understand, there's ignorance and there's just understanding how it works, because there is this conversation that men need to be the providers. So if you're both providing, but then there's women that's like, yeah, I want to be that rather than this. So
I believe in same-sex relationships. We both need to provide. We
Okay.
both need to get up and clean. We both need to get up and wash the dishes. We both need to.
See, I believe that in all relationships.
Yeah. King.
No, I don't. Because women go through a lot.
I
The
thank
thing
you,
is
but thank
that-
you.
and I'm not saying that men don't. Women go through a lot, and women carry children. Not all women, but the majority carry children. That's something that no man can do. We'll never be able to understand. I'll never be able to understand what a period is. I'll never be able to understand your boobs hurting. I'll never be able to understand these things. I just feel like give women a break.
I mean,
I'm for the women, but that's the stance that I'm coming from. I'm for women. I will always be. So, yeah, I believe that they should lay back and kick their feet up.
I mean, I appreciate that. I absolutely appreciate it. But I
don't
understand.
necessarily agree, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Who's your enemy of progress in life? Who's your enemy of progress? People, place, or thing?
I don't want no problems.
Oh God.
Listen, we want problems always. Come on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never completely watched one episode, but I don't even want to say his name. But
Go on, say it now. Say it now.
Young Spray.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a minor.
That's fine.
He's
here regular in the bin.
We've always got him in the bin.
He lives inside of it.
Yeah, but it's just I
totally
don't
fine.
want him to be calling me up and saying no craziness. 'Cause I ain't got
No,
time for
the
it.
aunties will defend you.
If he calls you up, if he says anything, we don't give a shit.
Yeah. No, but
Literally.
He's always in the bin.
He's always
Why
in
is
the
he
bin.
in the
Why?
bin for you,
Why?
though? What's
Why?
the-
Because he is the canvas of toxic masculinity.
I hear it.
Epitome.
Like the way he speaks to the women on his podcast,
Yeah.
the way he discusses topics, the way he spoke about Antho, I was like, wow. And this is everybody is accessible to having a platform. It's just crazy what type of language can be blurted out of your mouth
Sprayed.
and there's no consequences. That it just is so triggering.
Yeah.
And then watching women, because remember I said I'm for the women, watching women go on this man's platform and sit in front of the fact that you even go there, you're enabling this behavior. And for me, it's just you can't. He could be don't get me wrong, off cameras, he could be a great person, but the fact that you actually get on camera with the amount of following, viewership that you have, knowing that there's impressionable teenagers watching you and thinking that, this is what a man needs to be, and I need to talk like this to get girls, and he can talk like this and girls still come on his platform, so that must mean that I can talk to girls anyway and they're still going to respect me. It just infuriates me.
I hear it, and we've said it many times.
I concur.
That's a light one. That's a light one for us.
Yeah.
It's like I think I've only come across him in like the last few months, but because again, the videos are going viral. Other people are having conversations about some of the topics and things that are happening on his platform, and I'm like, people are just. And for example, you could be scrolling on TikTok one day and you could see a video, and a young person can think, because this video has got 1 million views and 10,000 likes, what this person is saying is true and right. Yeah. That's how some people think.
Yeah. It is.
There's
especially
no other...
young, impressionable people as well.
Yeah,
definitely.
So, yeah, I'm just not for it. I can't lie.
Does.
Yapping away. But, yeah.
A good yap.
Oh, we want you back again.
Just say when. I'm here.
Got it. Don't go nowhere.
Daniel Guhdeh, amazing. We love you. You're amazing. Thank you so much. Where can the people then find you?
You can find me on all social media platforms, literally every single one, under Guhdeh Philip. That is GUHDEHPHILLIP.
Guhdeh.
Whatever answers you're looking for, you will find it on my platform.
Okay. Yeah, coming. All right. Thank you, guys. That has been Extra Aunties. We love you. Thank you for supporting. And bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Oh, that was lovely.
Oh.
So we made you super late.
It's okay.
Okay. Okay.
You're lovely.
Need to actually run to the loo.
All right, let's make... Yeah, go to the loo, then we take a picture, then you can...